on right now, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the U.S. Political Prisoner Coalition. This is, welcome to the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. Excuse me, I got a lot of thoughts on my mind. So much has been happening the last couple of days. Welcome to U.S. Political Prisoners and you. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with my brother Tariq. Today's episode is about Imam Jamil Al Amin. He is now an ancestor. On Sunday at 3 p.m., it was reported that he made his transition. We're going to talk about who he is. We're going to talk about, his importance. We're going to talk about the work that we have to do from this point on. He never forsaked us. He gave all he had to our liberation. He gave us some clear ideas about that. So, before I ask my questions, how I normally do when I have somebody on, so we could have a very fluent discussion around the concept, the idea of our captured freedom fighters and what we need to do to freedom. So, brother, just introduce yourself for those who are not familiar with who you are.
Yes, I am Tariq. I am a Black Panther. I'm a former member of the Black Liberation Army. I spent 17 years in numerous American death camp prisons as a prisoner of war. Uh, so I'm very happy to be able to talk with the listeners, and thank you for allowing me to come in your space.
Thank you. For those who have heard his bio before, it's always mindful that we hear it again, right? Because we have to be reminded of who our captured freedom are fighters are, and the fact that we have them, some of them still around who did their time and have not forsaken their political obligations in terms of organizing for our people's right to self-determination. My first question to my brother is, what is your earliest memory of Imam Jamil Al Amin, and where were you at politically?
Okay, but first let me say, Frank, that when I heard that Jamil Al Amin had transitioned to the ancestors, I wanted to run out in the street and make a great noise. And I feel that the Black community really should run out in the street and make a great noise. A part of our heart has been taken from Black people. We have lost one of our great leaders. We have lost our father. We have lost our brother. We have lost our husband. We have lost our teacher. We have lost a freedom fighter. So make a great noise. Uh, when I met Rap Brown, it was in '72, where I was politically, I was of a revolutionary frame of mind. I was working with the Black Panthers and seeing Rap Brown in a place called Old Queens, a jail. It's closed now. It's called Old Queens, but that's where I met him. I was coming back from court and they put me in the bullpen. And H. Rap Brown, Jamil Al Amin, also was coming back from court and they put him in the same bullpen. So we were able to meet and talk. But I should say that Jamil was on the third floor and I was on the second floor in this particular jail. But along with Jamil Al Amin was a person known as Muhammad Ahmed. His former slave name is Max Stanford, and he was an author of some books. And also, let me just add that Jalil Mutakim was also on the third floor. Those three brothers was there. Now, Max Sanford, who is known as Muhammad Ahmed, he has out two books. And his books, he's the author of two books, and one of his books is titled "We Will Return in the Whirlwind: Black Radical Organization, 1960 to 1975," and his other book is titled "Black Social and Political Thought: Selected Writings, Volume 2." Now, also, Jalil Mutakim, who was with Rap Brown on the third floor, he is the author of a book, and the title of his book is "We Are Our Own Liberators." And I mentioned that these authors and these books because they are worthwhile. They are must read books for us living in a capitalist genocidal situation. So if we read those books, we will enhance our ability to survive in this death camp known as America. So Frank, to answer your question, where was I at politically? I was of a revolutionary frame of mind. I had done a considerable studying of Black people's situation, and I had arrived at believing that the solution to our situation was to become a revolutionary and to join the Black Panther Party because those persons also were of that frame of mind. So that's where I was, Frank, with that. Okay, let me just mention this.
Good, brother.
Uh, um, as I said, Max Sanford, um, uh, Muhammad Ahmed, and Jalil Muntaqim had wrote books, but also Jamil Al Amin was the author of two books too. And one of his books is named titled "Die Nigga Die," and the other book is titled "Revolution by the Book." You know, and I should point out that in '69, when Rap came out with the book "Die Nigga Die," one of the things that he had said was that in response to Black people rioting and looting on a number of occasions when racist supremacists, white supremacists had done something to Black people and Black people responded by rioting and looting, Rap Brown had said that if you're going to riot and loot, you should loot a gun store. And he said that we should loot a gun store because uh, looting a gun store will enable us to basically survive because white supremacists were shooting and killing Black people, and they was shooting and killing progressive white people. So Rap Brown said that if you're going to loot, you should loot a gun store because you could get a gun and stop these white supremacists from killing us by shooting back. You know, so I should point that out. And in this book, "Die Nigga Die," it's a worthwhile read because uh, and he's saying that the main break on our enslavement, the thing that's holding us back is that Black people have arrived at numerous conclusions, and those conclusions make them think of themselves as a nigger, and a nigger is a person that has arrived at numerous negative conclusions. And one of the conclusions is I'm a stupid person, I'm a coward, everything I do is wrong, and I'm a pile of something. And so Rap Brown said, die, nigga, die. In other words, cleanse your mind of those negative conclusions, and then we can go forward. And the our people should then arrive that after having cleansed their minds of the negative conclusions that the agents of the 1% have trained Black people to arrive at, we should be saying to ourselves, I am intelligent, I am courageous, I make good decisions, and I'm a human being, the most valuable entity in the world. And once you arrive at those positive conclusions, you will go a different route in life, and we will be on the way to Liberation Hilltop because it's a thing of mentality because we already have them. We already have the white supremacists, and that's what they're mad about. We are a significant number of persons in 26 American cities. We are a significant number of persons in 26 American cities. And should Black people decide to take a day off, we will close down America. We already have them, but Black people don't know that. They don't read, they don't know that. We already have them. So we should take a day off. We could close down America. If we take 2 days off, we'll begin to close down Europe. We already got them. So I'm not saying go out and cut a cracker's throat. I'm saying that get your mind together and like Jamil Al Amin was saying, get your mind together, and we could probably do this with demonstrations. But and the leadership has to be of the frame of mind that I'm going forward in spite of the possibility of being killed. And if anybody have to go, the leadership should stand forward and be ready to go and not back down. That's the thing about that. But when I met H. Rap Brown, it was in a place called Old Queens. And in addition to Rap Brown having been at that jail, Jalil Muntaqim and Brother Max Sanford were there. And so Rap and I talked and found out that he knew some people that I knew. So we really was kicking it back then.
Wow, thank you for the elaborate time in breaking down who he was and who he is and your personal relationship with him and those experiences, because it's always important to me that I consult with my elders. You're my elder, and you always are teaching me about what happened and who was involved in what, and how you related to it. I think when I ask you those questions, and I think about my political development, and I think about when I first heard about Imam Jamil Al Amin, H. Rap Brown, I probably was watching Eyes on the Prize documentary series when I first heard his voice. I'm not quite sure where I was politically. Obviously, I wasn't where I'm at now. I probably was struggling with ideas I once had in terms of how you must relate to your political conditions. But I really remember his cadence, his ability to be very serious about a particular idea, and that really captured my attention because he had that voice that made you really pay attention to what he was saying. Like everybody, that saying he had, I say violence is necessary. It is as American as cherry pie. So, that saying made me realize the conditions that we were currently in and not to be afraid of violence. It's violence is happening to you. So, in order for you to protect yourself and your people, you have to take on violence. You have to be very serious about that. Um, my next question, before I even get into the next question, I want to say, I was affected by the news about Imam Jamil Al Amin's transition. I run around saying don't let political prisoners die in prison, but yet a political prisoner die in prison. Now I ask myself, did I do enough? Right? We knew 10 months ago that he had 10 months to live. And I know I did a podcast episode, but I should have went to the community of Queensbridge. I should have went to the community of South Jamaica and had a number of copies of this information, put it on buildings, put it on stores, wherever I could have to let the community know what was going on. So, I have to take that on. I have to take that criticism to myself, and I have to be inspired to do more work, to be more committed. And being inspired, I just want to let people know about this upcoming event slash program. It's March for Mumia. You can go to marchformumia.org, sign up. It's going to be several days, 12 days actually. It's going to be from Philadelphia to Frankville, Pennsylvania. Um, it's a number of miles. It's going to give us the opportunity to put out the idea, the concept of who Mumia is and the fact that he shouldn't die in prison. And with Imam Jamil Al Amin dying in prison, it makes you look at the work to free political prisoners more seriously, and you have to commit yourself more to it. So, my next question is: what was his significance to the civil rights movement?
Uh, Rap was first he was a member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and that committee became famous, and the leadership became famous for helping to register blacks to be voters in Alabama and other places. But they were encouraging blacks to uh, register to vote, and they was encouraging blacks to run for offices. And they was talking about in areas where black people were the majority that should have been the elected leadership in those areas, but they were not because the Klan had been intimidating and killing black people, torturing and killing black people. And in fact, they had killed some of the student nonviolent persons and other persons who were there in Alabama to register people to vote. And so that it was necessary for the Student Nonviolent Committee to go there to and help the people register to vote and help them run for elected office. But while doing that, a number of persons in the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee were of a nationalist frame of mind. And so they decided to repurpose the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and they changed the name of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee to the Student National Committee. And they began to move in a different direction. They began to move in a nationalist direction, and they were training, thinking about developing Black people collective economic ventures and training Black people to re-Africanize themselves. And so that's why Rap Brown, Stokey Carmichael, Willie Ricks, and them decided to repurpose and rename the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee to the Student National Coordinating Committee, and they came out with the slogan "Black Power." So they wanted Black people to have independent Black power, and so that's what was that's how Jalil Al Amin became famous because he was the head of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and he was the head of the Student National Committee. And then at a certain point, he involved himself with the Black Panthers as a Minister of Justice, and so he really became famous for doing that. So he involved himself in the civil rights struggle, and those of us who back in those times, we know that he was considered a high, a great civil rights leader because at that time, back during that time, President Nixon had invited, he wanted to have an audience with the civil rights leaders at that time, and he invited persons to come to the White House, and Rap Brown was one of those persons who came to the White House. And those of us who know that Rap Brown delivered a presentation that the president didn't sit too well with. He didn't like it at all. So that Rap Brown was considered a high civil rights leader. Uh, and then he was considered a nationalist also because of him having studied Black people's situation, and that's what inclined him to involve himself in the struggle in the first place because of having studied Black people's situation. Okay.
Yes, I appreciate that. You always educating me further, and when I think about his significance, as you already broke down, I think about him not ducking, dodging, or deterring leadership. Right? He accepted that responsibility. He accepted that role, and I think that should make us look at ourselves. Right? If we're part of organizing people, what role are we accepting in terms of leadership? Are we removing ourselves from it, avoiding it, and all possibilities, or are we stepping up? Right? We all have different levels of capacity to do the type of work, but I think with him, I think he put it all on the line. Right? He was always applying himself where he needed to be, always providing guidance to a situation. At least from what I observed. What you was about to say, brother?
Yes, there's a famous picture of Jamil El Amin, Rap Brown, where he has a bandage on his head. That bandage is covering a wound. The police shot him in the head during one of the riots. The bullet nicked him, but he continued to go forward even though his life had been placed in jeopardy. He had been shot at by the police, and the police had actually hit him, wounded him. But the leadership, and that's what we see in the leadership in the Palestinian situation. They are being killed, but other people are stepping forward. So that we have to know, I don't want my family I don't want my family to live under the circumstances that we've been living under. So I am here available to be killed if necessary. I will not step back. And I was just telling Frank when a police came in my cell with a gun and he said, Haskins, I want to talk to you. I told him, you want to talk? I'm not going to say what I said to him, to the hangman. I'm not going to say it on the radio program. But I said to him, let him know that you want to talk to somebody, you got to go down, get out of my cell and take your ass down the hallway and find you somebody to talk to. We ain't got no rap, no rap. So, because I'm available to be killed, my hands is not up, not up. I'm not saying don't shoot. I'm saying we have to go forward in spite of the possibility of being shot. That is the only way we're going to stop these people. These people are former abused children. They are doing things to us not because of anything we have done to them. We are mother and father substitutes for abused children. Abused children. That is what is going on. So that we have to step forward to let them know I understand that you're an abused child. I understand that you want to kill somebody, you want to torture somebody, and you want to get revenge for what was done to you. But this has to stop. And so we are the ones to stop it. As Jalil Kim said, he titled his book, We Are Our Own Liberators. And so that means that we have to step forward and go forward in spite of the possibility of being shot.
Absolutely. I want to go in before I bring up the next question and we start to discuss that. I want to talk about this quote right here because I think this quote is very important. It says, I seek truth over lie. I seek justice over injustice. I seek righteousness over the rewards of evildoers. I love Allah more than I love the state. This quote is very powerful and important because it is addressed to people who are Muslim and people who are even not Muslim, right? If you're a person of faith and you start going through your doctrines and it material on that lets you know about the world that you are living in, right? You have to make a distinction between are you a lover of the creator or are you a lover of the state, right? The state is going to create conditions that are oppressive to you and your people. And the creator is going to give you a body and a mind to stand up and going to give you ideas in which you should stand up if you want to seek favor with the creator. And I think that quotes makes you really look at yourself and take a definitive position politically. I think it said a lot about him, from him having this Islamic community and impact the lives of so many Muslims, right? And that was what he did at that later part of his life. But that's really his whole life. His whole life is organizing. His whole life is accountability. And that quote right there lets you know how serious he was about the conditions of his people. He wasn't going to take a nonchalant approach. He was going to take a definitive position regarding their right to self-determination. So that quote is very important. I think that it needs to be said. As much as I say violence is necessary, it is as American as cherry pie. That quote that I mentioned before that one is a quote that lets you really look inside yourself and the condition of your people and ask yourself, what am I doing? Am I co-signing the conditions of our people or am I actively fighting against it? My next question is, what responsibility do we have regarding his legacy?
Well, I think that if Jamil Al Amin, I think that if people would have asked, if Jamil Al Amin would have known, would have been asked to leave the people, especially Black people, with some last words, those words would be unite, unite, unite. And as I pointed out earlier, we have been subjected to a training process for 60 years, training us to go for ourselves. And the white supremacists know that, and you can see it in the ICE agents, 10 or 15 or 100 ICE agents surround a person's car, drag them out and take them to a detention center. But they're doing that one at a time. And the white supremacists know that should they attack us one at a time, they will be successful each time. But they also know, and this is why I think that if Jamil would have given us some last words, those last words would be unite, because the white supremacists know that once we organize and once we unite, they cannot defeat us. I know it's only 40 millions of us, but they cannot defeat us. And so Rap Brown's last words would have been unite, and uniting. His legacy is to teach us to unite, and those uniting is going to become more and more important as we move along in the coming years. What we're seeing today is what's going to be in the future, and it's going to be more intense in the future. And the way to defeat that, the way to defeat the white supremacists is to unite. And the white supremacists know they cannot defeat us as a united body. And as I said, in those 26 major cities, we have those 26 major cities. We are a significant number of persons in 26 major U.S. cities, and should we decide, should we come into our right mind, and should the nigga die, die nigga die, should we cleanse our minds of the negative conclusions that we have come at, that we should be afraid and we are stupid and all like that. Once we cleanse ourselves of those thoughts and go forward, we will win. So that's the legacy I think that our brother Jamil Al Amin would have left us with.
Yes, I think that when I look at our responsibility to upholding his legacy, and I look at the conditions of our people, there's still the struggle for affordable housing, there's still the struggle for adequate food, clothing, and shelter. All those factors that tie into people's right to self-determination. I think that we have to remind the new generation that prior to them existing, there was those who existed who were conscious of social conditions, who decided that they were going to stand up and fight back around those issues I just mentioned. And they left us a body of work. Imam Jamil Al Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown, left us a body of work. When we go through that body of work, we have ammunition about what we need to do and what we have to be prepared for that may or may not happen to us, right? You may be a political prisoner because of your political position, and you may be a martyr because of your political position. These are possibilities, right? And sometimes people think about them and become scared, become crippled in terms of what they are going to commit themselves to doing. I think Imam Jamil Al Amin is the example of love, right? When we say we love somebody, or we say we love our people, how much work are we doing? What are we standing on? What position are we taking? So I think that we have the responsibility to educate a new generation. We got to stand up. We got to fight back, and we got to let them know that Imam Jamil Al Amin is not going to be forgotten. Right? He's in our textbooks of our liberation struggle. He's been doing the work for some time, and now it is our time to do it. So at this point, I just want to go through a couple of his quotes, right? And just want to ask you what comes to mind when you hear these quotes. Like I said the two already. I said I say violence is necessary. It is as American as cherry pie. When you hear that, brother, what does that bring to mind? I say violence is necessary. It is as American as cherry pie.
Well, the last part, it is as American as cherry pie, really resonates with me from having studied history. And when I look at history, I see that the white supremacists have numerically outnumbered indigenous people, African people, and they have rushed forward with guns in hand to force indigenous people to submit, kill them, and force them to submit, and kill Africans and force the rest of them to submit, and that was accomplished by them having guns in hand. I know that when they moved to Africa to get the slaves, they had guns that was accurate at 100 yards, and our people were still armed with spears, and so that the gun played a central role. I know that when Julius Nyerere was asked about Africa's situation, and he said that our people had spears and the white supremacists had the Maxim gun, which was a machine gun at that time, and against our people who had spears. And so that once we have a peer war, that means equals fighting equals, they got M16s and we got M16, they will stop killing us. Believe me, the racist white supremacists don't want to die behind some inferior animal person like us. So once they got M16s and we got M16, they will stop killing us. So
Good. I think when I hear about that, I think about the history of America and the fact that America has been violent since its inception. So we need not fool ourselves about what it's going to take for us to be liberated. Right? We have to be prepared to be violent, and violent takes on many factors. Violence can be armed struggle. Violence is a general strike. Violence is what is necessary to stop the status quo, to interrupt business as usual, as we understand the capitalists go by any means necessary to produce and create extreme profit. The next one is that I have that comes to mind is individuals do not create rebellions, conditions do. It says this reflects his understanding of the social and economic factors that lead to uprising. So, with you, what comes to mind when you hear this quote?
Well, what comes to mind is that we are living in a capitalist system. A capitalist system is a gangster system. And that is, they have business persons who will give a person a couple of dollars for working for them. But that's a form of organized robbery. And so that what we have to know then is that the capitalist system is a gangster system, and we are going to always live in poverty, and we're going to always be stressed out, moving from place to place, not working and that sort of thing, all of that poverty and pain forever and ever, so that we have to move on, collect it, organize ourselves, unite, and then move to bring about a socialist situation, because our enemies hated Rap Brown. He was especially hated because the billionaires don't want people to take the money from them and use the money to provide free health care, free schooling, free housing, free transportation, all of that with the money. The people are supposed to have the money. They're not supposed to be giving us a couple of hours for working today and tomorrow and that sort of thing. And we got to get a salary and get SNAP also, because we are what's known as wage slaves. We have to end that relationship and move into a socialist situation, and that's why H. Rap Brown was a hated person. That's why they're not presenting him on the news, even though he was highly regarded as a significant leader of Black people. So that is my response to that.
Absolutely. When I think about that, I think about the reality in which we live and the response that people have. You know, how long can people go without adequate food, clothing, and shelter? You know, they eventually have to respond for survival, right? So, in the spirit of Imam Jamil Al Amin, I ask those of you who are viewing, please share this episode. Let's talk, have many discussions about Imam Jamil Al Amin. Research him, read his book, Die Nigga Die, read his book, Revolution by the Book, internalize his ideas, his concepts, bring his legacy to another generation. Let another generation know that there was a man by the name of Imam Jamil Al Amin who put it all on the line. He should not be forgotten. He should be immortalized in our effort to be liberated. Y'all know the call. We say free them all. So Mumia, free Mumia, be a part of the march. Please share the information. Donate if you can't be there. Marchformumia.org. That's the website. Marchformumia.org. That's the website. Let's do what is necessary to not let another political prisoner die in prison. You got any final words,
Yes,
brother?
final words. Jamil Al Amin was an innocent man, and they said that he killed a police officer behind them dealing with a traffic ticket, and they are saying that because Jamil done that, white supremacists deserve to commit genocide against Black people. Just like in the Central Park 5 case, they said our children went wilding, and because they went wilding, Black people deserve to have genocide committed against us. And that's the same thing with Mumia. Mumia is also an innocent person, and they talk fork tongue talk in his situation, in Jamil's situation. And they are saying in each of those instances that Black people deserve to have genocide committed against us. And that is why they held him in jail until he transitioned to the ancestors. But we have to free our political prisoners. They are our real leaders, and they are the ones, our political prisoners are the ones who are making the sacrifice for Black people. And you don't hear them complaining about anything. They know they have stepped forward to give their life for the people. Power to the people. Free them all.